Good morning everyone, and welcome to video number 15 in our cosmetology series. This is going to be the video on hair cutting. The next two videos as well. It's chapter number 16 if you're using this textbook. The reason we're doing 3 videos on this particular chapter is not that it's that heavily tested, because it's about third in line of heavily tested. As I repeat all the time, the most heavily tested chapter is chapter 5, infection control, followed by chemical services, hair coloring, permanent waves, chemical relaxing. This is probably coming up in third place as heavily tested. The difficulty with the chapter on hair cutting is there's so many things they can ask you. There's lines, angles, degrees, hair texture, hair density, growth patterns. They love to question about tools, shears, razors, clippers, trimmers. There's so many things they can ask in a relatively small chapter of 40 pages that we decided to devote 3 separate videos, kind of break it down for you. Now, before I begin, I have to make a couple of points here, only because we get so many calls every day. Our phones are blowing up with the same things, hour after hour. As I just said, we'll be referring to this textbook. Now, last week I watched a video from a woman in New York. She's a cosmetology teacher, and she spent 48 minutes and 37 seconds reading test questions and answers. And at the beginning, she said, "I will be referring to this book," and she held it up. The first comment was, "What book are you using?" You have to pay attention. If you don't pay attention to your test, if you don't read the questions slowly and carefully, at least 2 times, and read all 4 answers, you're not going to pass your test. I know everyone is nervous and they're afraid they're going to run out of time. I had a school for 25 years. I only ever had 1 student run out of time. And to his defense, he had 2 issues working against him. Number 1, English was not his primary language, it was Hungarian, and they don't give the test in Hungarian. Number 2, he was dyslexic, so he read very, very slowly. Okay? He ran out of time the first time. He didn't run out the second time because he finally agreed that we were correct. He needed a reader to help him get through the test. Otherwise, I've never had a student, and I've had thousands of students, and I've never had a student run out of time. Read the question slowly, at least twice. Make sure you understand what they actually asked you, not what they think you asked you. I took a test last week and missed a practice test for a class I'm taking, missed one of the questions because I didn't follow my own advice. I read answer A, oh, yeah, there it is, answer A. Well, it wasn't answer A, it was answer B, because answer B was a little better answer than answer A. Read all 4 answers. Next point before we actually get started on hair cutting, I have to say I had this conversation with a young woman this morning from Santa Ana, California. She went on at some length about how she signed up to take the course in Spanish because that is her primary language, and she was in a class full of Spanish-speaking students, and they had a Vietnamese teacher who couldn't speak Spanish for 400 hours. And you know, this is not unusual. I see this all the time. Okay? What I don't understand, especially in the state of California where it was, California does something really unique on their state board website. They give you the pass rate of every school in the state every quarter going back 7 or 8 years. You log on to it, and for those of you in California, the website is barbercosmo.ca.gov. That's barbercosmo.ca.gov. Up in the top right-hand corner, click on schools. Second prompt, examination dates. They'll give you the pass rate. There are 3 schools in the small city of Santa Ana. One has a 60% pass rate, one has a 90% pass rate. The prices are the same, the course hours are the same, the course curriculum is the same because it's set by the state. If everything is the same and the schools are across the street, and one has a 60% pass rate and one has a 90% pass rate, why would you go to the school with a 60% pass rate? There's only one possible reason. You don't know it has a 60% pass rate. A school is a business, just like a restaurant or a bar or a movie theater. No business is going to tell you, hey, you know, our food's not all that great, but come in and eat anyway. Right? We were voted #1 by our mom. Right? Every business is going to tell you how great they are. Do a little research before you start. Okay, end of lecture on that. Okay, I'm going to put this book aside. We're going to talk about chapter 16 in that book. Specifically today, we're going to talk about haircutting terminology, lines, vertical, diagonal, horizontal. I think it's pretty clear a horizontal line goes this way. Walk down to the beach and look out at the horizon, you'll see it goes this way. Most of us are familiar with vertical blinds in the house. I hate them. I think they're ugly, but I have them anyway. Vertical blinds go like this. So horizon, side to side, vertical up and down, diagonal. Now, what are they going to ask you? There's a whole bunch of terminology, and I've said many times that in large part, this is a vocabulary test. If you have an extensive vocabulary, you could probably pass the test without even going to cosmetology school, just knowing what the words mean. Okay? They're going to ask you parts of the head. The parietal ridge, the widest part of your head, right here. Sometimes on your test, it's called the hat band area, because years ago when men wore hats all the time, they would measure your head around to see what size hat you took. Those of you who are into country western cowboys, you know they do the same thing to measure you for a cowboy hat. They put a tape measure around your head. It's called the hat band area. That's not usually on the test, but sometimes it is. The more common terminology is parietal ridge. The other thing I'm going to ask you about is reference points. This is a very common test question, where the surface of the head changes shape. In other words, where the flat sides become the rounded top, okay? Where the surface of the head changes shapes, reference point. The apex is the highest part of your head. That's what the Latin word apex means, the highest, the best, the top. Apex is the top of your head. The occipital bone, one of their favorites, the hindmost bone of your head, right back here. On some people, it's quite obvious when you're cutting their hair, and on others, not so much. But everyone has one. It is the hindmost bone of your head. The nape, the area below the occipital bone. Now, they like to ask this question in several chapters, not just the hair cutting, not just the anatomy and physiology, but also in chemical services, because the hair in the nape area tends to be the most resistant. Where should you begin applying bleach? In the most resistant area. Where do you begin applying chemical relaxers? In the most resistant area. Where do you begin applying perm solution? In the most resistant area. And where is that? The nape. So there's at least 3 chapters where that question could come up. It's a pretty good chance it'll be on your test. The front. Obviously, here's the front of my face. But as far as the state board is concerned, the front is the area in front of your ears, forward. From the front of your ear to your hairline, the front. The sides, pretty obvious. The bang area. Bangs, we call them in English. The real word is fringe, F-R-I-N-G-E. When you see this word in your test, don't look at the ceiling because the answer is not up there. The fringe is what we would call usually the bangs. Now, on page 362 and page 363 of your book, it talks about horizontal, vertical, and diagonal lines. What are they going to ask you? As I said earlier, horizontal lines like the horizon at the beach, side to side. The state board exam says they run parallel to the floor, right? Parallel lines. Here's the floor, here's a horizontal line running parallel to the floor. They are used to create weight in a haircut. There's your state board test question. Used to create weight in a haircut, especially low elevation haircuts. Now, if you don't know what that means, don't worry, we're going to get to it. I'm just telling you what the state board exam says on the test, okay? Horizontal lines are used to create weight. They're parallel to the floor, and they make your eyes move from side to side. That's what it does. A typical example would be a bob haircut. A lot of, especially middle-aged women, like this haircut. Pretty much all one length, right down to about here. Okay? It's a very good haircut, especially for people with thinner hair. It makes hair look a lot thicker. Okay, then you move on to vertical lines. Well, the opposite of horizontal. Vertical lines go up and down. They make your eyes move up and down. They make things look taller and thinner. They're used especially on layered haircuts. Most young women have longer hair, they want it layered. You're going to use vertical lines. Now, if you're a dress designer, you understand that vertical lines will make people look taller and thinner. If you design men's suits, pinstripe suits will make people look taller and thinner. Do not put horizontal lines on a short, heavyset person. They will look shorter and heavier. Conversely, on a very, very skinny person, horizontal lines will make them look wider. A lot of men's shirts will have one color here and one color here. It draws your attention right here because any line going this way makes our eyes go back and forth and makes the thing look wider. We think that men should look like this with a wider chest. That's why so many men's clothes have a line right here. Okay. Finally, there's diagonal lines, the line in between horizontal and vertical. It says they are used to create movement away from the face. And if that sentence has no meaning to you, I totally agree with you. Just learn it. Diagonal lines create movement away from the face. And that brings us pretty much to the end of today's video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. Send us your comments. That's how we know what to talk about in these videos. Sometimes what I or the people I work with might think is important, maybe you don't think is important. And maybe you just took your test this morning and have some brand new information for us we can pass on to other students watching. So please send us your comments. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and then send us your email address and we will send you the list of the vocabulary words, no charge, that you need to know for your test. And I'm going to repeat, at least 50% of passing this test is understanding the vocabulary words. I'm going to leave you with just one thought. The Greek word ology, O-L-O-G-Y. Some of you may realize that means the study of. So you stick it onto any word, osteology, dermatology, pathology, physiology, it doesn't matter. Stick it onto any word and it means the study of that subject. So if you have a question that's talking about the study of something and you have no idea what it is, you look down answers A, B, C, and D. Only answer D says the study of. Boom, there's the answer. And they do it all the time. There'll be one or two possible answer choices that contain the words the study of. It has to be one of those. They never give you four, they always give you one or two. So by eliminating, you can probably get that question correct. You must understand the word ology, stuck on it if anything means the study of. It's great to see you again today. Please look forward to our next video. And make sure you go onto our website, www.Cosmetology State Board Exam, and order our books. We have them. They're less than $40. It is a great investment after you spend $20,000 in school and hundreds on your state board exam. You want to pass this test and get on with your life. All right? Do it once, do it right, and then don't do it again. Our book will give you every question that your state has asked within the last 12 months on the subject, whatever it is, barber, cosmetology, skincare, or nails. If you have any more questions, give us a call, 760-534-4434, and we look forward to seeing you again.